Hey guys, welcome back to another breakdown here at GameSpot Universe. Today we are breaking down American Horror Story Double Feature Episode 5. It's called Gaslight.
Now, before we get started, of course, watch this episode. It's a really good one, and then come on back here because there are spoilers ahead. Let's do this. Okay, so this episode is titled Gaslight. Now, any American who's been here since, I don't know, the last 4 or 6 years has heard that word quite a few times, and it's also been butchered quite a few times in the last, I'd say, like 4 or so years. But with that said, this was an awesome episode, and it is a perfect example.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect, and you know, just by reading that title, Greg, you know exactly who is going to be kind of the center of this episode. You know that Doris is going to get her whole world flipped upside down because of kind of the situation that her family, Harry, her husband, and the rest of her family has kind of put her in. So just getting into the episode, you know exactly that you're in for a whole lot of action this one.
Now, of course, this is referencing the 1944 Ingrid Bergman film, who was also, manipulated and had her reality turned upside down. And of course, this is also based off of the play, where the term gaslighting came from.
Now, speaking of Doris and Lily Rabe, I mean, what a fantastic episode for her, this one. Greg, she actually spoke with Entertainment Weekly, and I read a little excerpt about what she said. She said this was one of her favorite and most terrifying episodes ever in her entire span of American Horror Story to work on. So, and then once you watch it, you're like, okay, now I get it. Like, she's so great in this role, and this is kind of the climactic moment. This is like her MVP episode of the season thus far. And the episode starts with Doris delivering her baby. I got little shades of Murder House here, Greg, obviously under completely different circumstances. I guess maybe anytime like birth is happening on this show, I just get pulled back into Murder House. Obviously, Lily Rabe is now delivering a baby. In Murder House, she was one of the ghosts helping. And thankfully, there are no ghosts here. It's like a regular hospital vibe, having
just vampires.
A childbirth right here.
Just some new,
but,
modern day vampires. That's all.
Yeah, I should be clear. Not normal, because I'm a new dad over here, Greg. And believe me, it is nothing like this. I mean, fathers don't like stare at all the blood coming out of their wife and start like, he's basically salivating over this bloodthirsty animal he's turned into. This was horrifying, and the way that they shot this whole sequence here, it really just upped the whole like horror vibes of this episode.
Just him staring at that blood, and that was so gross. The next scene right after that is him squeezing out as much blood as he can into little cups, so he can get a little. He needs a little rock star, a shot real quick to get him going.
Shots of blood. Ew. And pay close attention to what Harry says in this moment, Greg. He says, things aren't just going to be okay anymore; they're going to be great. And immediately when he utters those words, you know that the opposite's going to happen. That basically this whole entire family unit is going to just crumble, and it's basically over for them. And this is the start of what we will find out at the end of the episode, of kind of the dissolution of this family that we were first introduced in the beginning of this season.
Tell him, Kathy. And just like the title promised, the gaslighting begins as Doris, she wakes up in a dreamy haze, and this whole episode with her feels just, I love the way they shot it. It's just, it feels like a huge dream. The whole gang is there right now. I guess what do you want to call them at this moment? Three-headed monster, I guess we should call them.
Yeah, Greg, I think you made a great point about the dreamlike atmosphere, like the use of the cinematography, the shallow depth of field, the sound design, how they kind of show what a horrifying and terrifying place to be in. Her point of view, Doris, as she wakes up, already dealing with childbirth, which is in its own whole, a challenging and a physically taxing thing, and then to wake up back in the house, having had a conversation where you thought that you guys were leaving and you guys were gonna get away from this whole area, and her whole reality already is kind of flipped upside down. So now she can't really trust what anyone's saying. They want her to just rest and just be quiet and chill and help the baby, feed the baby. But you can already see that everyone else in the room, like you said, the three-headed monster, they all are in on it. They all know what's going on. They know about the bloodsuck. They are bloodsuckers, except for Ursula. She maybe eventually she might become one, but they're all in on the murders. They're killing humans, drinking blood. Ursula saw Chief Burleson's body, so they're all in on it. And basically Doris is the only one that's kind of in the dark here.
It would not shock me one bit from the writing we've gotten so far and what Murphy, Falchuk, and also Manny Cotto have done this season. It seems like Ursula, since she's the Hollywood, agent, she won't need the pill, or she won't just to be this evil. I have a feeling that's where they're going with her. I don't think she'll need any of that. She's just a monster.
That's actually a fantastic point. She's just as evil and bloodthirsty even without the pill because she's in Hollywood. She's a Hollywood agent. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Now we head over to Mickey and Karen, and guess what? Mickey made it. He took the pill, and now he's driving in a Ford GTL. I want a Ford GTL. Someone give me a Ford GTL to lease for a second. Now, this is the closest thing to the Speed Racer car, and guess what? That's his new extended universe, or whatever. It's his. He's gonna run the show, apparently, and now he's trying to get Karen at this. This is now, we're seeing it throughout this entire episode, but again, more of this, it's like gaslighting, and as well as he's just trying to egg her on, tell her over and over again he wants to be with her, and this pill is going to make it all work for all of them. He wants her to be one of them. And Karen, of course, she's just like, I'm not doing this. This is not going to happen. And she wants out of the car.
And the more and more I hear about the news about the success that Mickey and Harry are received, the accolades they're getting from Hollywood, the deals they've brokered, I really, really, really want to read like a sample script. Don't you, Greg? Like, I wish like,
oh yeah, I want this script.
FX would just they need to put like these PDF files up on the internet so we can like read these things. I want to see exactly how great they're, because it feels like the success, like they reach it so quickly, like overnight, literally overnight sensations, that they have this extended universe of Speed Racer, and he has the video game tie-ins, and he has they bring him a damn car. I mean, it's pretty crazy how quickly these scripts must be mind-blowing.
Now, back with Doris, she wakes up in the middle of the night. She hears the baby, crying, and she goes to check in on him just to make sure, he's okay and everything's all right. And bam, her little daughter's taking a bite out of its leg. Of course, this is American Horror Story.
Alma continues to be the most terrifying part of this whole season, to me at least. Just how well she's played, obviously, but also just like the moments that we see her like quiet in the dark, holding the baby, the shot of her in the bathroom, kind of just like looking at the baby. Oh, what a beautiful. I'm an older sister now, and just kind of you see him sucking on the leg of the child. This is crazy.
I wonder if they got any no's from networks when they tried to push this, but I'm all for it. Not in real life.
You're awful.
I'm not. No, wait. Hold on. Wait. So after that, everyone's losing it. Harry's screaming at Alma, but we get a little info dump here of why this is happening. As we find out, is like the baby blood is just as potent as a pill. So that's why, of course, we have situations where Karen's got to steal babies somehow, and now, hey, guess what? This baby's here. It's probably the only one that we know of, at least in town. So, uh-oh.
Now, also going on in this whole thing is Ursula, gaslighting Doris. She's telling her basically it's all a dream, that you're kind of still in recovery mode as a new mom, that none of this stuff's actually happening, that you didn't really see that. But Doris is convinced at this part like that she knows what she saw, and she's freaking out, and like her own family is kind of turning against her. So, a lot of things going on all at once. Now, we also learn from, the reason why Alma goes for the child is because of the blood, the potency, like you said, of the blood. But this also ties into why Belle has that kind of side deal, that kind of that bartering system with Karen, and Karen kind of bringing her like newborns to her doorstep. Some like a little DoorDash of babies. That
Ew.
Sounds horrible. Sorry.
Ugh. Now, Ryan, you brought up in our script today misery vibes, and a lot of it feels a lot of Stephen King, but also there's a few other films there. I got some vibes from like The Changeling, but very heavy King. I can't get over it. Like, there's misery in there. You're correct. There's Gerald's game as well. Just the spouse dynamic, a little bit of Dolores Claiborne. It's all there. The manipulation is a huge part of King's work, and not just the horror element of like a big spooky monster. Great stuff. I love this season, how they took it with this huge, very, again, Birds, King, Jaws vibe with this season. It's a huge turn, and I love it. From there, we get a montage of Alma practicing, and now because of the baby blood, she can pretty much play anything. She can. It doesn't matter what it is, no matter how challenging the piece is. So I wonder if this season's going to end, or at least part one of this season will end on Alma in a, like, I don't know, somewhere in like Carnegie Hall or something, performing in front of everyone, and that's the final scene. I don't know. I'm calling it now. I think that's what it will be.
Maybe she's a little bit more grown up, and she's a little bit like years later, and then she like just afterwards she does a little like Silence of the Lambs, like goes and has some dinner afterwards, goes meeting someone for dinner after, something like that. Or Greg, Alma is like performing the score for like Avatar 15. And then we see her like in the studio, like recording it, and then she just like eats the rest of the orchestra there that she has helping out. And then
okay.
Now this is a big turning point, Greg. Alma basically comes clean, whereas Harry is trying to keep this all kind of a secret from his wife. Like, he doesn't want to tell her the whole truth. Alma is basically like, hey, we all took the pill. This is how great we are. If you take the pill, you'll become great. Doesn't work out that way. But basically, she wants her mom to kind of join her. Now, it's kind of like, she's not really genuine here, right, Greg? Because we already know what Alma's true intentions and her true feelings about her mom already are in those kind of one-on-one conversations, those bonding moments with her dad. She wants her gone. She's like the worst demon child ever. She doesn't really care about her own mother. But so it's kind of weird. Like, she kind of, I think it's pretty obvious that she's kind of forcing her to get the pill so that she realizes it all kind of comes to fruition that like she's not talented, and she turns into a pale person, and then she eventually is out of the picture completely because all she wants is obsessed with being like the best musician ever.
It's narcissism.
And yeah, it's complete narcissism. Basically, all these people have like a one-track mind to find success, right? Ursula is the one that doesn't need the pill to have that. You know, she basically is just like money, but everyone else is like just success, whatever it takes. The pill just kind of like accentuates it makes you just completely consumes you to the point where like nothing else matters in your world, including your own family, which is terrifying.
So Doris bolts immediately. She heads out. She's like, I'm done. I'm over this. But unfortunately, of course, there's pale people everywhere in this town. These Nosferatu villains are surrounding her, doing their little dance, and they're getting closer and closer before Harry stops this. And this is where we find out, of course, that, hey, if you have taken this pill, you'll be fine. You can walk these streets. So that's something to keep in mind, too, for the rest of the town. Gee, I wonder how everyone, no one has, brought this up or has said anything about them, because they probably don't bother people in the town if they're all on the pills. Now, with that said, Doris heads back in, and again, the gaslighting continues, this dream, like, hazy state she's in. And meanwhile, of course, Belle, she smells a baby in the air, and Karen has to help her out here.
I'm surprised, Greg, that like Belle doesn't just like have someone posted up outside the hospital, the children's hospital, just like waiting for like newborns to get to come out, and
it might blow up. It might blow up the chemist's little drug plan she's got going on right now. That might screw things up.
Now, from Doris's perspective, Greg, literally she has like no options here. She tries to even go outside and get away from all this, and it's either get eaten alive or go back inside and kind of, be kind of held captive and kind of manipulated and gaslit by her entire family and like kind of the circle of friends that are the bubble that she's in. So when she gets up later on in this episode, she's looking to defend herself. She's like, these aren't dreams or nightmares. This is literally, they've completely all lost it. They've turned on me. Yeah. So what a horrifying
I love it.
Thing to be a part of, right? To have that, to be targeted like this by your own people you love.
Yeah, the allegory, the metaphor of this season, I'm a huge fan, and this episode in general is one of my favorites in a long time. So Karen's plan is actually to go get the baby, but she wants to flee town, get out of here with a fresh start with the baby, to get it out of here, because she knows that there's it's all hope is lost if she leaves that baby, because at some point, Belle's going to figure out a different way, or just find someone else to go get that baby if she can't do it. So with the help of Mickey, she's going to try to get the baby back.
Now, much like Karen, Doris, they're kind of both like the moral compass of this season. Neither want to do harm to anybody. They just want to be good people and take care of their loved ones and find some sort of success, but not, do any shortcuts to it. Put in the work and actually, earn it. So, while Karen is kind of planning to kind of help out the new child and take care and bring it away from all this kind of horror, Doris is basically like to her daughter here, like, hey, hurting someone just to reach a certain level of success or power, it's not okay. You can't just hurt people. Whereas Alma's completely off the deep end with her father as well. I mean, she's even more extreme than her father, right? She's willing to do anything in order to reach levels of success. Now, it's a little heart to heart. Basically, Doris has no other option, as we talked about before. She basically is so terrified, I think, in this moment of her daughter and her family, that she ends up just kind of being a little bit attracted to the idea of like, hey, maybe the pill is the right way to, deal with this, and she takes the pill.
Sure enough, she's doing her sketches. The sketches look all right. They look all right, and then immediately she throws up, and we're like, uh-oh, here comes the end.
Bottom line, Greg, Doris has zero talent.
This is so f***ed up. I'm sorry. This is great. Yeah. This script is so f***ed up. I love it. So Alma and the gang go out for dinner, I guess. And from there, they leave Doris alone, and this is time for Karen and Mickey to step up and try to get this baby back. And immediately your head is running around right now thinking of Home Alone, or any Home Alone gags coming up, because Macaulay Culkin is about to break into a house.
Used to be a freaking method. You don't think I know how to break into a goddamn house?
And when they get upstairs, they reach the baby, and then out pops, Doris. What are you guys doing? Who are you guys? And then we see like the transformation is moving rapidly. Her hair is falling out. She looks grotesque. We'll soon, a couple scenes later, we'll also see her kind of looking at the mirror, shaving the rest of her head. She's becoming one of the pale people. And this gave me more Stephen King vibes, Greg, Thinner, which is a little bit different. Obviously, it's a totally different concept here, but it kind of reminded me of a little bit of that, of like staring at the mirror and like you're no longer who you used to be, and that's all the horrors running through your head.
Lily Rabe, she gets the golden star for this episode. Incredible.
Totally, I agree with you. Now, while this is going on, Greg, Mickey and Karen are kind of having their own little get-together outside. Now, the pale people are kind of attacking or chasing down Karen after this whole like kind of baby kidnapping went awry, and basically Mickey, I was kind of a little bit surprised by this, because Mickey and Karen were meant to believe that they have a kind of a tight bond, and it immediately quickly turns into Mickey kind of putting her in a very, very horrible position. Like literally, you either die or you join me in this whole like journey, and you take this pill. So he doesn't really, you can't really take him for face value of what you thought what Karen meant to him. It's very, very tricky. And then we find out later why Karen decides to do what she ultimately does is because there was not a really genuine and loving background between the two, what she thought she had with him. Yeah. So she's forced literally at the last second to take the pill against her own wishes. But she had no other choice, much like Doris. It's like you're either going to die or you're going to join them in this journey.
Now, I'll say it again. Wonderful work here from Macaulay Culkin and Sarah Paulson in their time together. I hope Macaulay Culkin comes back. Just end the entire run. If they stop after these next 3 seasons that are on the way, I hope he's a part of it in some way, somehow, including, of course, Miss Sarah Paulson, who did a wonderful performance as Karen. And I love this interaction between the two of them here, because you can feel the curtains are starting to close. Obviously for a lot of characters, but these two in particular, it felt like something out of a Steinbeck novel, or like of Mice and Men, when they're talking about, you're gonna go make your painting, we're gonna go to the farm, we're gonna go see the bunnies, basically. You could feel it. We see the tide coming in, and we have apparently Mickey points out there's some victims out there on the beach, a snack for them to help her get her, juices running to make her painting. But Karen has other plans, of course. She takes a huge bite out of Mickey's neck, and this is the end. As she immediately from there takes her, she looks out, she's got her inspiration, she makes her painting. We don't know what it is just yet, and then she goes out, slits both of her wrists, and walks into the ocean. And now, we get the title. The red tide is here.
Yeah, it was very super fitting, Greg, to end on that with exactly what this is titled, Red Tide. But I kind of enjoyed how she got to go out on her own terms, that she didn't succumb to what everyone else did and reach for that. It wasn't about the success for her. She was put into this corner and she was like, nope, I'm gonna decide now what to do. And she took out Mickey, and she got to paint her little masterpiece. This is gonna be super random, but I was getting some vibes of Inglourious Basterds at the very end when he's Aldo Rain, Brad Pitt's carving the swastika into Hans Landa, and he says, "This is my masterpiece." Kind of like it got a little fitting bow to the whole thing, and he got to do his final little thing before on his own terms and kind of just like end the story there. So she gets her own little. She gets to paint her own little painting. She's high off the pill doing her thing, and it's probably a beautiful painting, and then she basically gets to end it and stop the cycle here. Now you're right, who knows, she might pop up in the next episode, he might pop up, we have no idea what's going to happen, or there might be a flashback, but I thought it was a beautiful send-off, if it is in fact a send-off for both these characters.
Now, back to the Stephen King vibes as we see Harry. He has locked Doris in the bathroom, and he's just waxing philosophically about everything that's going on, and he's lamenting their relationship and how he wishes, this is actually good for her. This is a good thing. Don't worry about it, Doris. It could have ended up in a much worse situation where, he could be gallivanting around the world with other models, and he could be, having drinks with Dua Lipa or something, and she would just be devastated. So now she's a vampire with no soul out into the world of P-Town. It's great. There's no problems here anymore. She should be thankful, obviously, Ryan.
Greg, is this the most horrifying breakup ever on TV? Is this like the worst, like, I need a divorce, I want to get a divorce ever? This is crazy that he basically says that he's outgrown her, and then he just like sends her off out into the streets. Yeah. Here, grab this coat. You're gonna need this coat.
We know he's gonna get it in the next episode, but I'm like, come on, what are you guys gonna do here? I'd say they should have a variety of different kills for him, like a multiverse of different ways he goes out.
Yeah, he definitely deserves. Him and Alma deserve some horrifying thing. Actually, to be honest, Ursula does as well. And this episode wraps up when we see Alma and Ursula. They're kind of looking for more answers to some questions they have. They want to go to the chemist and kind of find out, how to get some more of these pills. They're just, one-track minds again. But on their way over to the chemist, they, a familiar face is roaming the cemetery. Just Doris, just eating rabbits. And you made a really good observation here. She starts the episode giving birth, giving life. One of the best feelings in the world. As a new mother, and ends the episode, Greg, taking away life, murdering something, a living animal, and eating it as a monster that she's become. What a crazy turn of events, and a kind of full transformation she made in the course of one episode.
Now, this all has to be cleaned up some way, whether the government comes in or the chemist just decides to, drop her plans and move somewhere else. We'll find out in the next episode as we see that Belle, she still wants that baby. So that's a huge thing that's going to pop up here. What's going to happen? But who's going to win the Game of Thrones here of the worst monster, the worst character? Who's it going to be? Alma? My bet's on Alma too. But yeah, like I said earlier, I feel like it's going to end with her in a recital or something. She's years from now, maybe in the future, but I would be shocked if it doesn't end on Alma, even though she can also, she might see the end. We might see the end of her too, for how she was, for all the terrible things she did in this episode.
Yeah, Greg, I'm excited actually for this next episode because, so much has to happen in order to wrap it up. 6 episodes of Red Tide. Then we jump into Death Valley. I believe we have 4 episodes of Death Valley that wraps up this entire double feature. So
Okay.
a lot, I feel like a lot still has to happen in one episode. They kind of have to cram a handful of things in order to wrap this story up. And I'm excited
I don't
how
think so.
how is it going to fit in with the rest of it, though, right? Like, how is this going to tie in, or will it even tie in to the 4 episodes of Death Valley?
Ursula. I bet maybe it's Ursula that ties this in, or again the chemist. We don't know yet. I feel like just maybe we get one character who goes off into Death Valley, but I don't know. It's weird because it's only I think 4 episodes. If we close this out on 10 episodes altogether, I have no idea what to expect then with Death Valley. I'm nervous and also very excited to see where they go with this. I mean, Cody Furd's coming back too, so that's awesome. And maybe there's an Emma scene, but I'm not counting on it. But we can get into that in the next episode. But thank you all for watching. We'll be back here next week. Let us know if there's anything we missed in this episode. Hit us a line in the comments down below, and we will see you soon.
Take care, guys.